Hello researchers, today we will be discussing an important topic, that is the tips for reading a research paper to get best output. So, this video is actually made considering the PhD students. Normally the PhD students who are at the beginning stage, so they find it a lot of difficulties like how to get the best output after reading a research paper. And that is the main idea. So that this video is made with considering the PhD students, so that they can have some idea from this video regarding the research paper reading. So let's go ahead. So yes, so tips to get best output after reading a research paper. So basically, see, if you say that like these are the only tips or something, nothing like that. So there is no fixed rule, nothing like that. But from my experience of last like almost 10 years of research, so I have noted down few points here, and of course few other references also I have gone through, maybe few LinkedIn post or some specific literatures from LCBR or Stringer websites. So these are the main references that I have already mentioned at the end of this video, or rather you can say at the end of this slide. So let us see what are the main tips I have prepared for you. So what the first point you have to see, that is this paper related to your area or not. So that is the main point, because if this paper is not related to your area, then it is not worth to unnecessary wasting time. So how to find it that this is related to your area or not? Of course, from the title and the keywords. And then if you feel that yes, this is related to your area, then only you should go into details. So see what it is written: is the paper related to your area? So that means before diving deep into the paper, skim through the abstract. So first you see the abstract, introduction and conclusion of the paper. So you need not to go through the whole paper at the first stage. So you just check the abstract part, introduction and the conclusion of the paper, and then of course you will understand that this paper is relevant to you or not. That is the most important part, because if this is not relevant to you, then unnecessary why to spend this 2 to 3 hours of time for that, because we know that if you want to read a paper very nicely, then it takes a lot of time, at least 2 to 3 hours it takes. So it is no use of wasting time. So first you see that this paper is related to you. So this was the first point. Now come to the second point. Note down the key points. So first step, if you feel that yes, this paper is related to you, then you try to find out some key points. So what are the key points here? If you found the paper is relevant to your area, then note down the synopsis of the paper or the important points of the paper. But here I will highlight 3 important points, so 3 bullet points are there. So number 1 is what the authors did. Okay, so what was the main accomplishment of the authors or the findings of the authors in this paper? How they did it, means what is the procedure they followed, or what the methodology they have followed. And number 3, what they found, means output. So it will establish the broader picture of the paper within your mind. So basically, see here you have to develop a picture or the image of the output of the paper in your mind. So once you are certain that what it is about, you can easily navigate throughout the paper. So once you understand these 3 points, then definitely you can enter in details of the paper. Okay, so I believe it is clear. So let us go to the next slide. Here this is very important, number 3. Here it is fixing up your target. That means why do you want to read this paper? Means definitely, see, when we read the paper, there are several stages. Means one stage is that when you are finding the research gap, another stage is that when research gap you have find, but you want to develop the methodology for your work, that time also you read the paper. And then when you have got the results, how to explain the results, that time also you read the paper. And then finally when you write the manuscript. So these are the different stages when you read the papers. So that is why you fix up your target. That means why do you want to read the paper? Means do you want to understand the research methodology? Means when you want to develop the methodology, that time it is useful. or you are looking for a new research idea to take from this paper. So, this is related to you finding the research gap, or you want to develop your own research area or maybe research problem, etc., and be clear about the purpose. Okay, so that is very important, means for what purpose you are reading the paper. It is not like that just you are feeling like reading, so you are reading. So, because then it will be of no use. So, you must ensure that what is your target, and accordingly you read the paper, and then it will be more fruitful to you. So, it will save you time and help you to focus on the specific part, and I feel this is very, very important, especially for the newcomers in the research field. The next point is deep reading. This is also quite important. Read the paper critically. That means it is not like that you just read the paper on means peripheral level. No, you should, when you complete the reading of the paper, then you should understand it deeply. That means, so how do you understand that you gone through the paper deeply or not? So, these are the few points. This means that once you have read the paper, you should able to answer the following questions. So, what are the things? What are the strengths and weaknesses of this paper? That you need to understand, and this is important so that you get the capability to assess the quality of a research paper. So, if you can understand the strength and weakness after reading the paper, that means you can say that yes, I understand the paper with deep sense. And it is always very important, because just reading on the peripheral level, it does not help actually. Let us go to the next point. Write the key takeaways. So, I believe this is the most important part in after reading. And see, most of the students, what they do, what my experience, from my experience I can say that they will simply read the paper, and then after a few days they will forget everything. So, what I suggest my students also, that when you go through an important paper, then you note down the key points from the paper, and then whenever in your diary, or means better you write in a paper, and when you write in paper, definitely your brain works better. So, writing is very, very important. So, that is why write the key takeaways. As you go through the paper or after finishing the reading, write down the points like what are the key takeaways for me from this paper. This is very important. So, noting down is very, very important. Yeah, sometimes people write in a Word file also, that is also okay, but I feel if you write in diary or your notebook, that is the best thing, because it is not like that you are writing only in the notebook, you are writing in your brain also. Okay, so that is, I feel that is the best technique that you should follow. Then where I can use these takeaways, this is another very important thing. When you have noted down the important points, then you have to think that how these noted points can be applied in your research works, and you can improve your either representation or discussion, etc., etc. And then what can be done on the top of the existing work. So, what already you have gone through this paper, then how you can improve, because see, definitely your paper will go published in a good journal, definitely if you can show something new or novel in your paper as compared to the existing work. So, that is why that point also is very, very important. That means, can something be improved, what they already reported, from that can you improve something. And of course, you do not need to write the whole story, you write it only bullet points. It's very very shortly few bullet points you write, so that whenever you require, you just see the page, and within 2-3 minutes or maybe 5 to 10 minutes you can get the output of the paper. Okay, so knowledge not put in the writing output. So, it is always better that you write the key takeaways from the paper. So, I believe this is the most important point that you should follow if you want to get the best output after reading a research paper. So, this is my suggestion. And then number 6 is check the references also. So, most of the times what researchers do, they will read the paper, maybe very critically they will read, but unfortunately they will not go through the references. But I will suggest that yes, after reading the paper, you must go to the references also, because after finishing the main body, if you go to the references, there you may find very relevant works, and this is also applicable. Suppose you are reading some part of result and discussion, and then there they have presented something, and in bracket they have given some references where some other researchers also found similar results or similar kind of means argument they have given. So, in that case you can go to that reference paper and you can see how they have explained it, and this will help you to improve your the writing of your discussion of the result part. So, that is equally important. So, if such is the case, you can snowball depending upon the time you have for reading. So, this is another quite important point as far as my knowledge is concerned. Then another point is presentation takeaways. See, earlier we have taken the methodology takeaways or resultant discussion takeaways, but number 7 is the presentation takeaways, because presentation of your paper, that is also very important, because only if the technically the paper is very good, but if your data representation, diagrams, table, graphs, they are not professionally looking, then also your manuscript may not be published in a very good journal. So, that point also you have to keep in mind. So, if the paper is very good, whichever you have already written already gone through, so in that case you just see how they have represented the data in the form of diagrams, tables or plots, and see how you can improve your data representation, and you may follow their styles also. Of course, if you can do better than that, that is always very nice. And the writing style. So, this is another important point, and this is very important if you are a newcomer in the research field, because when you are a newcomer, when you are starting the writing of the manuscript, then it actually becomes very difficult, because see in that case you may not be finding the proper sentence to write your expressions or what is in your mind. So, in that case what my suggestion is that you go through few papers which are published in very good journals, and then you see how they have written. So, suppose you are writing the introduction part of your paper, then you take 7 to 8 good quality papers in that specific area, and you follow the introduction of all the papers, and after reading the introduction of all these papers, definitely you will have some clear picture in your mind which will help you to write a better introduction for your paper. But of course, plagiarism issue you will need to keep in mind. Then ask yourself whether such style of diagrams or graphs etc. would be good for my paper. Means you have to see whether the way they have represented their work, so can I use it in my works also, or can I improve it, something like this. If the answer is yes, sorry, so note it down in your takeaways. So, this is another important point. Actually, see, research is a continuous process, and there is nothing like that research is perfect research. So, every research is having its limitation. So, it is a continuous improvement process. So, if you can improve from your existing paper, then only you are feeling that yes, you are moving ahead. So, it is continuously improvement process. So, keep on improving. Number 8, keep the paper in your repository. If you feel that the paper is very important, then you must save the paper in your digital repository. Like some papers you read might be very relevant to the paper you want to write next. Okay. So, in that case, note 2 to 3 I have written, but it may be more also such papers, and put them in front of yourself while writing the next paper. So, that already I was telling that when you are writing like introduction of your manuscript, then you keep like few important research papers which has published in a very good journal, and you see how their like writing style or presentation style, and then you follow that style. But definitely you should not copy paste them, because then plagiarism will become an issue. But of course, you can understand their writing style, and accordingly you can go ahead. So, it will serve as a reference guide for your paper writing, and this is very important if you are at the initial stage and if you do not have any experience. But of course, after few years of experience, then you may not be needing that, because you will develop your own skills. Moving next, number 9, make reading a habit. This is another very important point, because I have seen many students in my research group also that they are more interested in the experimental works or something, but when I say that you read the paper, they will read it, but not critically or just for the sake of reading they will read it. But what my suggestion is that more you read, you will become a better researcher. So, as a researcher, the more you read, the better for you. So, a paper is not to be read only in the laboratory or in the office, like when you are in the lab working in between you are reading, or in the office time you are reading. Okay, sometimes you get more out of the paper reading it while sitting in a park, traveling on a train or bus. See, this sentence may be looking funny to many of us, but this is a fact. Like, sometimes see, when you are in the laboratory or in office, sometimes most of the times you will be stressed. So in that case you may not get best out of it. But when your mind is very relaxed, maybe you are sitting in a park or traveling in a train, bus, when you have nothing to do, then also you can read the paper. But of course, reading the e-copies in Kindle, e-book, etc. is fine. But I believe the paperback or the hard copy of the reading the hard copy of the paper is the best option. That is my experience. But of course, many people may not be agree with me. That is fine. But that is my experience, and I also feel very comfortable when I read the paper in hard copy. So it is not like that you read only in the laboratory or office, you can read it anywhere. So try reading in different places and see what works best for you. So I believe this is a magical thing. You keep reading in any places and make reading a habit. It is not like that only in office time you will read the paper. Whenever you get free time, you just take the important paper and you read it. So that in the first time reading, something you may not get it, but in the second time or third time reading, you will get it. Okay. So that is another point. And the last point is discussion with your colleagues. So this is equally important, because see, research is a group work. It is not like that individual work, and your supervisor will be there to guide you. But again, see, your supervisor may have numbers of PhD students or MTech or MS students. So he or she may not be available all the time. But your colleagues or your fellow researchers, they will be available with you all the time. So it is a very good idea that you keep discussing about your research paper with your colleagues who are at your level or maybe somewhat advanced level, okay, in the research paper. So maybe in the same group or other group, but if the area should be in the same area, then only the discussion will be fruitful. So this is another point you should keep in mind, that discussion about the selected papers with your colleagues in the same research area. So this may help deepen your understanding or analyze the results from another angle, because see, you might be thinking from one angle, but your fellow researcher or your colleague may be thinking from different angle. So if you discuss with him or her, then definitely it will be helpful for you as well as for another person or that colleague. So that is why research is a group work, and you always discuss with your colleagues or the group members to enhance the quality of your research work. Okay, so these are the few important points I thought that I will share with you. So I believe this will be useful for the new PhD students who will be starting their research work, or maybe starting their research gap, or maybe writing the manuscript, etc. Okay, so here I have placed the references where from I got this information. So of course, few LinkedIn posts related to this topic, and another few link I have given. These are the links from which I have also got some information, and of course my experience, like last 10 years I am already in this research area for last 10 years or so. So from that experience also I have added something here. So I believe that this information what I have shared with you may be useful to the new researchers or upcoming researchers. So thank you for watching this video, and of course I will try to come up with this kind of new video, or like informative video for the researchers, because so that it may be helpful for the research community. Okay, so thank you once again for reading this, for watching this video. So thank you once again. Bye.